In tonight's Top Gear, a night in our reasonably priced car. Maserati's new Coupe takes on our track. And lock up your door mirrors. We set out to find Britain's fastest white van driver. But first, an apology, I'm afraid. You see, last week we did a show mostly about the environment, and I think I may have messed it up. You see, toward the end, I inadvertently said I was going to kick a barn owl to death.
You said you were going to kick it to death for fun, Jeremy.
I know.
So, can we clear this up, all right? Even if you're walking along the branch of a tree and there's an owl in front of you in your way, don't kick it.
Just don't.
No, we've let ourselves down, and I feel we've let down the barn owls.
Yeah. Exactly. So, that was our attempt to be green. We mucked it up. We're not going to be green anymore. This week, we're going to be scarlet. Yes. And that's why we have a BMW M5 in the Top Gear base. Four-door saloon car, 400 brake horsepower under the bonnet. Now, a lot of you won't have the first idea what 400 brake horsepower actually is. So, I've come up with this simple graph to explain it. Here we are, there's the power, and here, to make it simple, the number of double-decker buses. Now, as an example, Nelson's column, 10 double-decker buses, OK? Big Ben, 30 double-decker buses. And here we are, here's 400 brake horsepower, up to about here, 40 double-decker buses. If you were to spread 400 brake horsepower on the ground to a depth of about 6 inches, it would cover an area the size of Belgium. And BMW is no longer the only car maker to be putting so much Belgium under the bonnet. Look at this. It's the Jaguar S-Type R, now available with a 4.2-litre supercharged V8 engine and 400 horsepower. Wonderful car, and Jaguar must be very, very pleased to have finally, after all these years, caught up with BMW. But now Audi has come along and moved the goalposts. What they've done is taken the ordinary, rather antiseptic body from an A6 and fitted it with a twin-turbo 4.2-litre V8, which develops an almost unbelievable 450 brake horsepower. That is the same sort of area as Portugal. You could fit St. Paul's Cathedral in 450 brake horsepower 7 times over. 7. So, it's more powerful than an M5, and it's more obvious, too. With all this chicken wire at the front and those big flared wheel arches, you just know this thing means business. 0 to 60 takes less than, I don't know, no seconds. And the top speed is limited to 155 miles an hour to keep the German Green Party happy. But the other day, I was driving this on our test track, and I saw 175 miles an hour on the speedo. I reckon if you had a long enough track, you could get it up to 200. God, it's fast. So much power. The Rs6 comes as a saloon or as an estate, both for around £58,000. That's £5,000 more than a BMW M5, but this, I think, is one of the best-made cars on the road today. A lot of the rock aristocracy drive these fast Audis. Kenny Jones, Mitch Mitchell. They make their fortunes and then they want something quiet and restrained in the autumn of their years. But it's like when they make those unplugged albums, they can never quite resist having 42 lasers and an inflatable pig. Yes, I want the Audi, I want it restrained, but ooh, look at those wheel arches, yes, and a big grille on the front, that's what I want, big fat tyres. And this is rockstar country. All the rock aristocracy ends up down here when the 14th album goes double platinum with a sprinkling of myrrh. This, for instance, is Gordon Sting's back garden, or Wiltshire, as you call it. Except this bit, which is accountant nicked, and he hasn't noticed yet. Everyone down here is in a band, and that makes pulling over and asking for directions a rare treat. Excuse me. Could you tell me the way to Steve Winwood's house, please?
Steve Winwood, yes. Up here, till you get to Van Morrison's.
Yeah.
Left, up to Sting's Trout Lake.
Yeah.
Round that, and at the T-junction by Peter Gabriel's, you make a left.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much. What band are you in?
Pink Floyd.
Oh, you're the drummer, aren't you? Sure. Have you got an Audi?
A few, yes.
Got one of these?
Coming at Christmas.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
I don't blame the rock dinosaurs for choosing the Audi. You see, it's not just a well-made but out-of-control volcano. The power is harnessed by a quattro four-wheel drive system, and they've firmed up the suspension a bit. No, wrong, Jeremy, wrong. Not a bit, it's a lot. I could live with the hard ride, which is a good job, because I couldn't live without those looks and that power. This car is a stairway to heaven, a bohemian rhapsody. But unfortunately for the Audi, that's not the end of the story. It's easily better than the BMW M5 and the Jaguar S-Type R. But Mercedes, they've gone berserk. Welcome to the E55. Welcome to the door of 500 brake horsepower. Now, I'm not a fan of the E-Class styling. It looks like a Honda. And I'm not a fan of Mercedes service and customer care either. I am, however, a huge fan of this 5.5-litre supercharged V8 engine. It's the same engine they put in the SL, and in that it sounds like a tornado jet fighter and a NASCAR and a peal of thunder. They've quietened it down quite a lot in this, I must say, but the power's still here. If you don't mind doing 7 miles to the gallon, this thing absolutely flies. Yes, it's £3,000 more than the Audi, but you get more. In a straight line, it's even faster. A word of warning, though. In some ways, this car reminds me of the Eurofighter, which can't fly without the onboard computers constantly adjusting the control surfaces. And this is the same. It doesn't have four-wheel drive, remember. And I don't think you could drive it on a day like today, raining, wet leaves everywhere, without the traction control. It's constantly working. You can feel it going. Even the tiniest dab of the throttle, and the light comes on, telling me that machinery has just kept me out of the ditch. You are right on the edge. 500 horsepower. That's as far as you can go. So, this or the Audi? Same level of build quality, same size, same interior ambience. It's a difficult choice. But look at it this way. If the Audi is Keith Moon, wild and flamboyant, then the Mercedes is Charlie Watts, quiet and unassuming. Me? I was always a fan of The Who. I'd therefore take the Audi.
Was that really the drummer from Pink Floyd?
Yeah, Nick Mason, on his way to borrow a cup of sugar from Roger Daltrey.
Wow. So, the Merc was the most powerful, yeah?
Yeah.
But which was the quickest on the track?
Round the track, in the dry, I'm fairly confident it would be the Mercedes, OK? But, of course, inevitably, it was raining when we gave them to the Stig, so the Audi, four-wheel drive, of course, 2.5 seconds faster.
Really?
Yeah, 1:33. That's the same as the SL or the NSX. That is a very, very, very quick car. Really quick, all the time.
Amazing.
Right, OK. So this week's show is all about drivers' cars. And that set us thinking, is it possible to turn anything, I mean anything at all, into a driver's car? Well, to investigate this, we found a bloke who owns a Lada, and we nicked it. This is the Lotus headquarters in Hethel, Norfolk. And this is Paul Sherwood's 1.5e Lada. 6 years old and worth about 200 quid. Taking on Mission Ridiculous is Chris Arnold, General Manager of Lotus Sport and Performance.
Excellent. So this is it then?
Yep, this is
the project car. Oh, my word. I don't know much about Ladas. How long have you had it?
I've had it just under a year. Ladas are in the blood. Once they're in the blood, you can't get rid of them. They're good cars.
I was going to talk about aerodynamics, but I'm not really that sure what we could do with it. It's fairly box-like, isn't it?
Yeah. There's the blackness that is a Lada interior.
Oh, it's fairly dingy in there, isn't it?
Yep.
And the old steering wheel, again, is it's perhaps not very fashionable.
You can abuse them, hurl bricks at them. They're just solid, rugged cars. There's your bog standard Lada 1500 unit.
Yeah.
I think it's basically a Russian tractor engine.
To be honest, I don't really think it's worthwhile doing much with this. What I'd like to do is I'd like to rip it out and put a new engine in.
Always willing to help, we spent 200 quid and bought him another engine.
I'm a bit worried that they're going to do something hideous to it. I really am. Oh my God, what's he doing?
To assess the scale of the task ahead on ride and handling, Lotus let loose their top man, Gavin Kershaw. It's not every day that Russell Carr and his design team get their hands on a Lada.
If we get the wheels and tyres right, the ride height right as well, it's going to give the car a much stronger stance. Get the wheel-to-body relationship correct as well.
So there's 500 quid of carbon fibre there. That's worth more than the car. Colour, well, it's debatable, but black is obviously going to lose some of the dodgy detailing that we've got. Could actually clean that surface right through there. It could be quite nice. We should just have to rip the bumper off and see what it looks like.
So maybe we can blend these two together. Ditch the centre console, remove that, maybe the parcel tray, put a sort of aluminium wrap underneath, clean that up across there. And maybe pick up some silver detailing on it so it still has a sporty feel, a little bit more like the Sunbeam.
The owner was actually worried that you guys are going to spoil the look of it.
Well... we hope we don't prove him wrong.
Well, it's a tough job, but if anybody can do it, it's those plucky boys at Lotus. I mean, they can make Vauxhalls handle and Protons. So we'll find out how they do with the Lada later. But first, the news.
Absolutely. And we'll start off with a story about parking. Now, Rio Ferdinand, who apparently is a footballist of some kind.
All right.
Who's he play for? Manchester United. That's how he's able to afford an Aston Martin Vanquish. And he should be able to pay the £40 ticket he got for not parking it within the box, which wasn't wide enough for the car.
Well, shouldn't the box be wide enough for a car? It would make sense, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah, he's lucky. I got a ticket the other day, and I kid you not, for being parked badly. Since when did it become like ice skating? With them all standing there, no, I don't think that is well parked. 4 and only 3 from the Nigerian judge.
And that's kind of negative as well. If they're going to do that, it's got to be carrot and stick. So they need to do something positive. If they think you've parked particularly well, they should commend you. Maybe give you a rosette on your windscreen.
Yeah, book tokens. Something actually useful.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of parking, you know where we nail this programme together? It's in the middle of London, OK? There's a multi-storey car park next door, 2 hours, £9 in there. So if you're 2 hours and 5 minutes, 18 quid. Well, I went into Oxford last weekend, parked on double yellow lines right outside where I wanted to be, OK? Took the children out for lunch, went to see James Bond, got back 5 hours later, 20 quid parking ticket. That's pretty reasonable.
That's
£12.
But you invented valet park, didn't you?
I did. Valet parking. I was used to live in Fulham, right next to the car pound in London, so you could drive up to the West End, have a few drinks, leave the car, wobble home best way you could, wake up in the morning, they towed it home for you. It was pricey, but kind of worth it.
Right, news from Citroën. The Berlingo Multispace, looked at in the very beginning of the series, Jeremy, and we all agreed, fantastic car. I mean, a great family car-like ride and all the rest of it. Yep. But best of all, cheap. Well, this is the new one. I say new, it's not like new, it's a bit of a facelift, but it does look prettier. But the really important thing is, it's still...
Yes, I was going to say prettier is relative. That's like if you got Anne Widdecombe and hit her on the forehead with a light tap from a hammer.
She'd look prettier.
That's what I'm saying.
It's prettier.
Yeah.
It's prettier.
Yeah.
But the most important thing, looks aside, is you get all of that package and it's cheap, and it still is, because they're still doing the same VAT back deal until the end of the year, which means it's about 8 grand. That's actually a lot of car for 8 grand.
I know.
It's still a good one.
Here we go, Astra. Oh, we've all been waiting for it. No, come on. Hot Astra, 200 brake horsepower, OK? But 16.5 grand, that's 3.5 grand cheaper than the RS Focus. Nearly as much power. The thing that I can't work out, but I know. But back in the old days, 200 brake horsepower in a Cosy, it was a really quick car. 0 to 60 on this 7 seconds.
Which is quick, but it's
Yeah, but
not
Irish
like...
Focus.
It's a Vauxhall, you blithering idiots. That's it.
All right, you're right.
The V. Nobody's going to buy one in the end. Now.
The Audi TT. Now, it was agreed that on your cool board, what you did think of and put all the cars on without asking anyone, that the TT had been cool and it had kind of slipped... Well, you didn't.
But let's ask these. Is the Audi TT cool? Hands up if you think it's cool. Hands up if you think it's uncool. There you go, uncool.
Right, absolutely. Well, they've obviously listened to this. The cool board is taking effect. So they've put a bigger engine into it, a V6, 3.2 litre, about 240 brake horsepower. It's the one out of the R32 to kind of cool it up.
240 brake, it's 225 anyway, so it's 15 brake horsepower more. You've got a heavier engine.
It will be, yeah.
It's not going to be
So
much
it's probably
quicker.
not that much quicker. But here's the exciting stuff. It has a very exciting gearbox. It's called DSG.
It's not one of those stupid Formula One things, is it?
I didn't know, so rang Audi and said, can you send me some stuff on it? And here it is. And they did, and it's great because it explains it for you. Now, it's, well, basically, the control logic integrated into the transmission casing maintains optimum gear shift strategies that perform lightning-fast gear shifts, nevertheless smooth and...
No, you're not reading... No, don't just rush it. Don't get it. Look. What is that? You were reading that bit?
Yeah.
OK, it's the way you read it, OK?
OK.
Bit of thesp here. As on conventional manual gearboxes, the transmission radios are present on input and auxiliary shafts in the form of pairs of toothed wheels. In contrast to manual gearboxes, the input shaft is divided into two sections. It comprises an outer hollow shaft and... Oh, look, how many engineers here? Is there anyone here who has that first tiny grasp of engineering?
I mean, is it an automatic or
Have you?
manual?
You have. Look, I'm going to give you this. By the end of we've finished the news, I want to understand that gearbox. Work it out. It's your homework. Discuss it. We have no clue what it is. And don't buy that car because the gearbox doesn't work. I'd love to ring a dealer up and say, this gearbox... Dunno, mate.
No,
It's
is it an automatic or a manual?
witchcraft. That's what it is. The one thing we have worked out about it, seriously, we have been in the office with that all week. The one thing we have worked out about it is it says that it's able to tell, it's got two clutches and it's able to tell it has the next gear ready. OK?
Yeah.
Ready for you to change. So you're in third, accelerating. How does it know what you want next? And what I think when you're accelerating, he's going to want fourth. You go, well, I'm in second. Oh, still haven't got that. Now, last week, we set out to find Britain's fastest faith, OK? And this week, we are searching for Britain's fastest white van driver. We asked for applicants a few weeks ago on the show, and this is how many we got on emails. Now, we weeded out the psychotics, and we were left with 5. And starting at this end, we have...
I'm Don from Kent.
Don from Kent, and you drive a...
Ford Escort.
Colour?
White.
Of course. And what do you listen to in it?
Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. You a fan of Pretzel Logic?
Goucher.
Gouch. I'm more of a Ricky Don't Lose That Number. Yeah, lovely song. Well, I hope you win.
I like them more. Yeah.
I hope you win. Sorry, guys, I like Steely Dan. You presumably like Bon Jovi?
Yes, how do you know?
Because I can tell these things. You haven't shaved. She's poor. What's your mother going to say? Anyway, what do you drive?
My pride and joy?
Nissan Van S?
Yes.
OK, and you are a...
Heating engineer.
A plumber. You are...
John Watchford.
You listen to what?
Tom Jones.
Tom Jones? Obviously you work for the Royal Mail. slightly psychopathic. And what do you drive?
Leyland DAF vans.
Leyland DAF, OK. You are?
Dale Miller.
Dale Miller, you work for?
NTL.
NTL, who dig up the roads, make our lives a misery. OK, and what do you drive?
Peugeot Expert.
Peugeot Expert, a stupid name. And you are?
Steve Hogan from Amersham.
From Amersham, and you work for?
Iceland.
Lovely country. What do you listen to?
The Bee Gees.
Bee Gees. I'm with Don, I'm hoping he wins. Anyway, they've already been out, and we'll be seeing how they got on later.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Right, back in the 1980s, about the most fun you could have in a car was in a Super Mini. They were simple and uncomplicated, and you could go berserk without going so fast you got yourself into trouble. Since then, Super Minis have got bigger, heavier and better equipped and faster, which is all good. But what if you still just want to have something that's fun to drive? Are you stuck? Well, let's find out. Last year, 1 in 3 cars bought was a Super Mini, so these things are everywhere. We've not gone crazy here. We've picked the mid-range 1.4-litre versions of each car, just to keep it real. And the first of them is the middest range of all, the Ford Fiesta. It's a typical Ford, so it's got everything you need in terms of kit, but it's all slotted into one of the single ugliest dashes I've ever seen. That's nasty. One place where it does fare well is the drive. I mean, it's not, you know, scintillating, but it really isn't bad. It's getting close to that nice, nippy little car feel that we're looking for. The old Fiesta drove well too, but had absolutely no rear seat space. They've solved that one, and now there is, well, some. For £9,995 you do get air conditioning, but not much else. But its big problem is, it's just so dull, inside and out. You better park it somewhere obvious, or you might just forget you've bought it. In turning out the new Fiesta, Ford have managed to move the small car market on not 1 inch. All they've done is look inwards and put right the problems with the old one. This looks promising, though. The Citroën C3, spiritual successor to the 2CV. It's far, far funkier than the Fiesta, which is a surprise, coming from Citroën, who have in recent years churned out cars blander than chicken in a white sauce. It's kind of light and airy and happy in here. And like a lot of French cars, I suspect that, although it is flimsy, once all the extraneous bits of trim and stuff have dropped off, after about a week, the rest of the car will just keep on going. Forever, probably. And on the way, you'll enjoy a smooth and comfortable ride, if not a fast one. There are plenty of cutesy touches inside, but it doesn't actually do anything clever, apart from having plenty of storage. After all, an air vent is still an air vent, and a door handle, once it's opened a door, has kind of peaked, really. But it's got personality in its own cute way. So the C3's cute but not clever. For that you need to look at the far brainier Honda Jazz. Right now it's a huge hit, flying out of the showrooms faster than dealers can get them in. If any car sums up what people want from Super Minis right now, it's this. It really does feel massive in here for what is still a small car. Really, really impressively big. And that's very clever. It's every inch the little tiny mini MPV. But with that, you do get the downsides of an MPV because it's all one big box. It's very boomy, noise reverberates around it. And to drive, it just feels a bit top-heavy. It's not exactly poised, and that's the price you pay. You can't have MPV qualities and size and still have the driving attributes of a nippy little car.
But where it really falls down for the Jazz is on price. You'll pay $10,300 for a mid-range model, and you'll still have to pay extra for a CD player or alloy wheels. But where the Jazz goes for big car space, the selling point of the funky-looking new Nissan Micra is gadgets. Some you don't even need.
How sad have you got to be that you need your car to wish you happy birthday? I prefer to have friends.
It's built in Sunderland, Europe's most quality control-obsessed car plant. And for the same money as a poorly equipped Jazz, you'll get a fully loaded Micra, where you do get alloys, a CD player, and that big car toy, keyless ignition. And I haven't finished yet.
The windscreen wipers come on automatically when it rains. We've got parking sensors to make it easier to brace, ready for impact as you reverse into the car behind you. I've got controls for the stereo on the steering wheel. There's proper climate control, not just air conditioning, climate control.
It is comfortable and refined, but even though it's the epitome of today's grown-up super minis, if you're yearning for some of that 1980s small car fizz and crackle, you're gonna have to look elsewhere. The MG ZR. Spoilers, spotlights, garish paint. Fantastic. It's 1983. True, it's as subtle as Brigitte Bardot in a Basque, but you can't help looking, can you?
This is far, far closer to the original feel of little cars. No apologies, no compromises. It is a small car, and it's all the better for it. Now remember, we haven't gone for the top spec, hot versions of these cars. So this is the basic 1.4 engine ZR, and still feels a bit special.
10 grand buys a ZR 105 with 105 brake horsepower. That's at least 20 horsepower more than anything else we're looking at.
It is amazingly dated in here. I mean, there's been, I don't think, any effort to make it look, well, anything really. It's really quite unpleasant. But that isn't putting me off. Because the moment you pull away, all that work on the suspension, all that clever stuff underneath means you can just feel it's that bit more purposeful. It wants to go.
All right, so it's a Rover 200 underneath, but it really does deserve its MG badge.
Do you know what I mean? That kind of, you can feel what's going on underneath. But it doesn't shake any of the bits of your body off. And it loves corners. It really does. This is a fun car. Ugly, but great fun.
So, if you want a practical car...
It's got to be the Honda Jazz, yeah.
Producers just bought one.
The practical man.
in this colour.
And if you want a sporty car...
It's got to be the MG ZR. It was 2 seconds faster around our track than all the others.
2 seconds?
2 seconds, which is a big difference. And the thing is, OK, it is based on an old Rover 200, which in turn is based on a Brontosaurus. But MG have done such a good job of turning it into a driver's car, it's the one to go for if you want that kind of thing. And the point is, if MG can do that with the Rover,